let's look at some of the challenges of testing a deployed application. You have your system under test, which is used by developers, QAs, SDETs, either in form of your web application or native apps. When they access this application front end, API calls would be made to the application backend, and based on the interactions of these users, application functionality would be performed. What could be some of the challenges of testing in such an application? Let's look at a concrete example. If I have to recharge a prepaid phone number on Jio.com application, if I provide a valid phone number, I will see a relevant set of plans for my phone number. But I might want to simulate situations where what if there is no plan available to simulate an empty state of my application? Or I want to validate pagination. If there is too many plans available, how is my application going to behave? I also want to test error states of my application. For example, when some backend API times out, or there is certain component of my application backend which is getting redeployed, and I want to test how my front end is going to behave in such cases. This is to simulate temporary outage in my application. So these are real challenges when it comes to testing in a deployed application. You need to think about test data creation. You need to think about testing negative flows, which also includes simulating APIs responding slowly or APIs being down, and APIs returning a diverse type of data. All of this needs to be done with the application being deployed when it is used by many of your colleagues in the organization. We will use Specmatic Live Proxy to overcome these challenges. You will be able to confidently test the said earlier scenarios using this approach. Step 1, we will use Specmatic Live Proxy to capture the traffic from the application front end, and this is going to behave like a pass-through. It will record all the traffic that is going through, but also pass it directly to the application backend. In the next step, using the traffic that has been captured in step 1, you will be able to generate mocks for specific chosen operations based on your scenarios. This generation of mocks will automatically generate an OpenAPI spec for you, and you will be able to generate concrete examples for these operations based on the traffic that was captured initially. Once the spec and the examples have been created, you will now be able to replay the traffic using the mocks generated based on the OpenAPI spec and examples. Now, you want to update these mocks to test all the possible scenarios that you are looking forward to. So, when you start your live proxy, first thing that the live proxy will do is validate if your mocks conform to the OpenAPI spec. If there is an error that is found, the proxy will not start. You will need to update the mocks to make sure it is conforming to the spec, and then you would restart the proxy. Now, when the mocks are validated, requests will come from your web application or native apps to the live proxy. It will check if the operation is mocked. If it is not, it will pass through the request directly to the application backend. The application backend will process that request, return the response back to the live proxy, which returns it to your application front end. However, if the app endpoint or the operation was mocked, the mocked example would be returned to the live proxy, which goes back to your application front end. So with this approach, you will very easily be able to test various different types of scenarios, positive, negative, edge cases, error states, and validate if your application conforms to the expected behavior. Let's see this live now, how this is going to work. I have Specmatic Studio which is running here. I'm going to start the proxy by providing the target URL. I will use Jio.com as an example in this case. We have now started the proxy. And now when I go to localhost 9090, which is the proxy address, it is acting as a pass-through and Jio.com page is served over here. Now I want to see what are the recharge plan options for this valid phone number. And here we see there are various different plans returned by Jio.com for this phone number. Now, when I come back to the Specmatic proxy, we see these are all the different operations that were captured as part of the interaction that I did with the application right now. In this case, I'm interested in two different operations, the recharge mobility number and recharge plans. I replay these endpoints. We see the spec is generated over here. This is the OpenAPI spec based on the operations that I am interested in. I will see over here, there are also two examples generated for the traffic that is captured. I now want to generate some more examples. So I'm going to create a new example for each of these. I want to now use a different phone number. So I will enter a phone number having 0 plans available. I validate it. This example matches the spec. That is good. I go back. I want to do the same for the other one as well. Now the phone number is set up. We are going to update the plan, remove all the different plans from here to simulate a phone number having 0 plans available. Now when I come back to my localhost 9090, my Specmatic proxy URL, and in this case, I'm going to enter the phone number having 0 plans available. And there we see, instead of it returning n number of plans, it is now saying that there are 0 plans found for this particular number. Without taking the application down, I have been able to simulate an end-to-end scenario and check for various different cases if I'm able to test if my application behaves correctly or not. And this is not just for manual testing. The same scenario that we saw live can also be automated very easily. In this case, I have automated the scenario using Playwright. This starts Specmatic mock server in the background automatically. It is recording the spec, and based on that live flow for a valid phone number, I am able to generate new examples and create test data based on my use cases. So now I have creating new test data to simulate invalid phone number or a phone number having 0 plans. Now when we see this, here we go. We saw very quickly the screen that showed up when there were 0 plans available.